Let's look at what karmas, what event factors most strongly influence our lives and create negative karma. Let's start with the first, most powerful negative factor. These are our actions that lead to the creation of some kind of harm to others. That is, this is the karma of harm. Well, it simply means causing harm from physical harm to mental harm, intellectual harm, and so on. That is, according to all plans we can cause. Well, if, for example, there is some harm to people, that is, this is karma. It is the most difficult, the most powerful. And if it is activated, God forbid, this karma is activated negatively, then the person is reflected in his health, in his physical activity, on his physical actions, on physical manifestations, and so on. That is, from some defects, say hearing, vision, speech, smell, touch, to some severe hereditary diseases. That is, it's all just connected with karma, or some event happens to a person, as a result of which he receives some kind of serious injury or becomes seriously ill. Then you have to suffer with this illness or this injury for the rest of your life. That is, this karma, this is the most difficult karma when we create. When we harm other living beings, then it is very difficult to work through. I don't need to give you examples. In everyday life, it is clear that if two people got into a fight, one caused harm to the other. He is already accumulating karma according to this plan. But if a person commits murder or maims someone, that is, even some kind of car accident, he, say, ran over someone with his car for a reason. Say, for example, alcohol intoxication or some other way, because he didn't want to slow down or something else. That is, he accumulates this negative karma. This is the heaviest negative karma, and then, naturally, he will bear some responsibility for it. That is, she will always return to him. That is, he will return in any case. Why is it very interesting, the karma? But people believe that karma returns. It curls up once, and then it does not return again. Now, typically, up to 5 returns occur during many lives. That is, it can return to you in this life, it can return to you in the next life, through life, and so on. That is, there is such a reflection. That is, she returns many times, at least 5 times, sometimes up to 7. Well, in different versions, in different gravity, but here it has ability to return. Well, naturally, such karma is accumulated when, as a result of our profession, or in some of our actions, we cause. This leads to the death of living beings, that is, we harm them, as a result they die, and we accumulate this heavy karma. That is, this is one of the heaviest karmas. Therefore, here we need to be, say, extremely attentive to the lives of the creatures around us, not only people, but also other creatures, animals. And naturally, if you do this, this guarantees you that you do not create this karma. But if, say, you really have this heavy karma from past lives, then you need to choose a profession for yourself when you save the lives of other creatures or people or animals. Save, help them survive, and then you create positive karma, which to some extent is a buffer for life. Blocks this manifestation of negative karma according to this plan, and, as it were, creates some kind of airbag so that this negative karma does not activate, that is, this moment actually. Very important. Well, if you constantly create positive karma as opposed to this negative karma, the result will be this negative karma, even if it is and to awaken, to manifest in this life, then it will not have such dire consequences if there is no this positive buffer, positive karma. The second such point is very important, which needs to be understood and done. Well, of course, they will ask, well, how to work off this negative karma, right? Here's how to make sure it doesn't show up in the future. But you can either really create positive karma, or you need, as it were, to engage in regression, go into past lives and work through these karmic, negative, so to speak, events of yours that happened in a past life, work through them today. Through regression analysis, through working with regression. This is a separate technology that regressologists do. This is a kind of direction that regressologists can do and work off this negative karma. This is such an important moment. This, one might say, is the heaviest karma that takes place, which can affect us negatively. The second type of negative karma, it is associated more with such an emotional plane. Not even on the emotional plane, but I would say on the mental plane. This karma manifests itself in the form of acquisitiveness, that is, a person begins to take from the world more than he can give to this world. This can manifest itself on different planes. In common parlance, this is called greed. The manifestation of greed, such a quality as greed, contributes to the accumulation of negative karma. How does this manifest itself? For example, if a person commits theft as a result of greed, you can steal in different ways, yes, and at different levels. Then it's as if he is already here. And this karma, if it is there for some time, is activated after some time, greed. Then the person will primarily suffer from a lack of material well-being. This moment, as a rule, affects this karma. If it is activated, either this person will be deprived of material well-being, that is, something may be stolen from him. He may be robbed, he may be deprived of money, material well-being, and so on. That is, this is karma when it begins to be realized. That is, a person finds himself in such situations when he is left naked, like a falcon. And he may even become a beggar. And these beggars, they are just. Why do they become beggars? Because this negative karma manifests itself, which they apparently acquired in a past life thanks to their greed. Well, greed has its aspects. For example, rivalry between people is also an aspect of greed, because if two people compete, it means they're in a greed of one person and another person compete. If they didn't have this greed, they would have cooperation, the opposite of competition, cooperation and mutual assistance. But when a person begins to help others, he does charity work, helps others. It is he who creates positive karma, which is a counterbalance to this greed and negative karma. And here is, you really need to understand this very moment and cultivate this internal positive quality in yourself, a quality such as generosity. If a person does this, then generosity will ultimately supplant this quality of greed. And a person will never, under any circumstances, create this karma associated with greed, money grubbing, theft, and so on. And, naturally, to him, he will not return these negative fruits. He will not eat these fruits when he is deprived of some property, some well-being in his life. That is, this is the second powerful aspect of life. karma, which we can refine in this life and in subsequent lives, and which has a very negative impact on us, on our life. In fact, social life, it is directly related to this. Music. The third type of karma, it is also like that. In general, it is a little connected with the first and second. It manifests itself as a result of a person's anger and lack of restraint. That is, it is more concerned with the emotional plane. When a person gets angry about every reason, everything irritates him. That is, it is, of course, directly connected, for example, with envy. For example, if a person is jealous, then, as a result, he gets this irritation if he doesn't get what he wants. For example, he also starts to get irritated, and he has these impulses. And why is this quality of anger very bad? Because when a person becomes angry or irritated, he loses control of himself and commits actions for which he later has to pay. Either he is ashamed of what he did without realizing it, without controlling his actions. Here, or, if he is not worried about this, then in the end he peacefully returns him, so to speak, the same coin. Otherwise, what he did once, yes, either yesterday or the day before yesterday. That is, gloominess is a quality, it is very bad, it is a quality of the mind, which, in general, affects all planes of human manifestation, including the physical body, because if a person is constantly angry, his liver begins to break down, and the liver, at the same time, in parallel, when it is in poor condition, a person can. But they are very easily excitable and angry. That is, they seem to be connected by anger and the liver. Therefore, it is very important here to develop in ourselves such a quality as calmness, satisfaction with life, self-satisfaction, despite the fact that we are not perfect in this life and we often make mistakes. We still have to admit it in ourselves, and this is the quality of satisfaction and tranquility that we must constantly produce in ourselves. Then we can. And to refrain from some situations where, so to speak, it can irritate us, we enter a state of peace and do not make mistakes. That is, we are not carried away by this spontaneity, anger, and we do the right things. As a result of which we create positive karma, or we don't create any karma, and then we don't have to pay for it. This is the third quality that creates great negative karma for us. The next, fourth quality of creating negative karma is deceit. That is, it is a lie. But people lie for a variety of reasons, ranging from the fact that they need to protect themselves from what if other people find out what they did, so as not to receive punishment. For example, children came home from school and, let's say, they didn't get a very good grade as a result. They do not want to receive punishment from their parents. They begin to either remain silent or lie when asked. Well, in this way they create some small negative karma. Then, when a person gets used to lying, he begins to lie without thinking. For example, when he is asked to tell about something or is asked about something, he begins to lie, although this is actually not the case. And some people eventually begin to believe their own lies. That is, it is as if they are deceiving themselves. That is, lies are already going on at this level. But the worst thing is that a lie separates you from the world, because the world, at his core, he loves the truth, because harmonious interaction with the outside world only occurs when there is no such lies, no such misinformation. But, unfortunately, our world is now built entirely on misinformation. lies, and distortion of the truth. There's no getting around this. We have such a society, that's why here. It is very difficult to create positive karma in this world, but at least you need to remain silent in this regard. Another aspect is very interesting in terms of information and in terms of honesty. Our body is built, our cells are built at such a level that information is transmitted from cell to cell, and if this information is distorted, well, let's say that then the cells begin to break down, and this is the first such bridge to the formation of cancerous formations. That is, cancerous tumors. It's a lie, if it is already transmitted to the cellular level. That is, the person then ends up falling ill with these serious diseases, because our body loves the truth. Our cells love the truth, our internal organs love the truth. At least think about it, why not? Pay a lot of attention to lies and still try to speak. So to speak the truth, yes, what if you just remain silent? I believe that if you are forced to answer something, and you don't want to talk about it, it's better to remain silent. Tell the other person that, let's change the subject, or I don't want to talk about this topic today, rather than lie to him. Because when we lie, we already begin to accumulate this negative karma. And the worst thing is that when this karma is activated, a person enters a state of delusion, and then it is difficult for him to navigate the world, because he no longer understands where the truth is, what to do, where to go, what to do. Well, in general, this is such a manifestation of negative karma, so our main task is to simply try not to lie. If you can't tell the truth, well then at least keep quiet. It will be better than lying. Well, this is like the fourth such feeling, a very important aspect of negative karma, which, in general, can be realized. Why? Because, let's say, lying, it is closely related to acquisitiveness, because often they steal information from us, money through lies, through misinformation, and we are deceived. And these qualities of the mind, they are greed and lies. They are closely intertwined. And anger also applies here. If I put my hand on my heart, that is, here you also need to understand that this is a very strong quality of the mind that creates negative karma. Then it seems to come to us very, very coolly, because when a person is in this cloud of lies, he does not know where to go, what to do, what his goal in life is. Yes, and he simply dies. Well, this is like the fourth karma, the fourth type of karma that we can create and which leads to negative consequences in our social life and in our health as well. Let's consider the fifth type of karma. It refers to wrong views, to ignorance. And we create this type of karma when it is closely intertwined, naturally, with the previous one, with lies. That is, if we see the world incorrectly, we see ourselves incorrectly in relation to other living beings. We do not observe moral and ethical principles, because a person who is in ignorance, he, as a rule, does not pay attention to moral and ethical principles, which, in general, underlie the harmonious interaction between man and the outside world. Well, the social world, not only the social world, but also the natural world, the animal world, well, maybe non-human worlds too, so to speak. Yes, that is, he does not understand how to lead correctly, how to act correctly, and what to do. Not only does he do it himself, he begins to mislead other people, leading them down the wrong path, giving them wrong views. And as a result, There are many such examples. Other people. Well, these are more global things. As I already say, they are some kind of everyday things. Yes, for example, a person creates some kind of sect, and in this sect he preaches some false truths, leads people, representatives of this sect, on a false path, and as a result, so to speak, he creates negative karma for himself and other people whom he leads down the wrong path. What could this threaten? This negative karma. When it is activated on you, that is, a person at this moment, he enters a state of delusion. He does not know where to go. He does not know what to do. He enters a state of apathy, resulting in depression. Well, some start drinking, some start taking some psychotropic substances, but some commit suicide. I'm already telling you an extreme case. It's like when karma is activated, like a cornered animal. He doesn't know where to go, what to do. He doesn't understand what actions to take. He does not see his future. He does not understand how to interact with his loved ones, with his friends. And this is what leads. It will lead to sad consequences. And this karma that we create when we introduce, karma, is associated with a person's ignorance in the first place. Yes, because he is ignorant, he does not understand basic karmic laws. He does not understand that he must live correctly, based on moral and ethical principles. And as a result, he commits all the other karmic mistakes that we talked about. All the other karmic mistakes. That is, as a result, he accumulates such complex negative karma. And according to the plan of lies, and according to the plan of harm, and according to the plan of well-being, and as a result, and according to the plan of murder, and as a result, he receives such a powerful complex of negative karma, which will be difficult for him to deal with later. Therefore, ignorance, in general, is the most difficult type of karma. After the karma of murder, damage, that is, it is the most severe, because it seems to us that this is nonsense. This is, in general, to us, nothing special. It's like we didn't kill anyone, it's like we didn't deceive anyone, it's like we didn't kill anyone. We didn't steal anything from anyone, but as a result, as it turns out, it all can turn on at the same time, and we will begin to commit murder, and theft, and lies, and so on. And as a result, the karma of ignorance will control all this. Therefore, this is the fifth type of karma. I would say the most severe type of karma, although in appearance it does not seem so dangerous. In fact, this is such a pitfall that if you get caught on it, you can fly very deep into this deep abyss. This is a whirlpool of negative karma, and then many lives. Yes, even in this life you will pay for yours. Negative actions, in terms of ignorance, lack of understanding of how to live in this world. So if you want to avoid getting under the influence of this negative karma, then you need to try to observe moral and ethical principles that are directly related to cosmic law. It's not for nothing that all the moral and ethical principles described in all religions, in all teachings, and, so to speak, are, say, yoga. They are the first stage of yoga. Yes, because of the Eightfold Path. In Buddhism they also begin with this. For example, in the teachings of Buddha, in Christianity, in Islam and so on, in other religions. This is such a key as the basis. If a person follows this basis, then it proceeds correctly and creates less negative karma and, as a result, receives fewer consequences in subsequent lives. If a person lives correctly, then he is pursued by happiness, precisely by happiness, because he lives correctly. He does not do anything bad. He constantly accumulates positive karma, and he cannot help but be happy, because what we give to the world around us, The world around us gives back to us. As they say, we reap what we sow. A very important point. So you need to pay special attention to this too if you live in this social world. In this life, if embodied by a person, yes, and if you want to improve, change yourself for the better, change your life, change the quality of life. That is, all this needs to be done. You can read about all this in more detail in my book, The Path to Perfection. I have several books about karmic psychology you can read. You can read it in the book Calm, Subconscious, Reality. Several books, and you will find other books. Well, you can also go to the Path to Perfection Telegram channel, and there we discuss these topics in more detail. I mean, please, yes. And we regularly hold meetings with the Awakening Center to discuss such topics. And please come to the Awakening Center on TV Extra. Here I also give a lot of very useful information for you.